Uh, Yesterday we discussed about the form helper, right? Now let us discuss about some other libraries. These are the coordinator user guide. Go to click on helpers. Can you see lot of helpers are there? Almost all helpers we are going to discuss them, but some of the mostly used helpers we are going to discuss. HTML helper. Can you see HTML helper here? What is this HTML helper will do? If you want to work with HTML helper, can you see how can we load the helper? This is the loading helper. There is a method called heading. So what this heading method will do? So there is a method called break method. What break method will do? Image method. So can you see all we are having different methods are there here. We can use those different methods. UL tag is there. UL is a method. So how these things will be work together and all, we are going to check it, guys, one by one, right? Let us see how these are the things going to be work together. So now, if you want to work with the HTML helper, first of all, you have to load the helper now. To load the helper, this of load of helper, HELPR helper. What is the name of the helper? HTML. So simply we can write HTML. Once this is done, what are all the methods available in the HTML helper? Those methods we can access into a view directly, guys. If you want, you can go to the view. Here, you written some page heading, right? So this is the page heading. So for this, I can write one thing, guys. Simply echo. There is a method called heading is a method. To this heading method, we can pass some text. Welcome to PHP or CI. Something I passed, guys. Comma, I am passing one here. Right? What is the meaning of, it will generate a H1 tag with welcome to CI. Can you go and refresh the page? If you can refresh, can you see this is welcome to CI? H1 tag is generated. If you want, you can inspect this. You can understand whether it is generated or not. Can you see H1 tag is generated? If you don't want H1 tag, you want to make H3, then make it as 3 simply. Then what happened with the passed parameter? H3 tag was created. Can you see? H3 tag was created like this. If you, for example, I want to add some break tag here. So if you want to add, generally how we can write the break tag? Generally br, something like we can write it. So now simply echo break tag. So then if we can write inside of it 10, what is the meaning of it? 10 break tags will be printed automatically. Can you see? And refresh the page, the gap is going to be increased between this. Can you see here in the console also? There are 10 break tags was printed, break like this. So simply, normally, how we can write the break tags in HTML? This is simple, the way of writing a break tag. If you want to write 10 times, you have to write 10 times like this, right? But what happened by using this break method, how many number of break tags you want? 10 break tags will be printed. If you can write only one, then one break tag will be printed. Can you see? One break tag printed. If you want to write 20, yes, 20 break tags is going to be printed. See, there are 20 break tags are printed, guys. Like this, we can use this HTML helper methods also, right? So like this, we have a lot of helpers are there, guys, right? So I'm not using like a comment. So like this, check the each and every method. So don't forget, guys, each and every method you guys needs to check it. And what is it, a doc type? Different methods are there here for us in NBS, non-breaking space of 3. So if you can write this automatically 3 times NBSP, like break tag, right? So a space between a character and character, if you want, can you see echo break tag 3? So this is how we can display the things, guys. Here we have meta function is there, OL function is there, as well as UL function is there. Just to, for this UL function, you have to pass the data in terms of an array. Pass this array, automatically UL tag will be created. Can you see how this is going to be created here? UL tag is created. But for this, what is a PHP function, coordinator function we have? This is the array they taken, and these are the attributes of the thing, and there are UL method. To this UL method, they are passing list and attributes automatically. It is generating the things, guys. For example, you can take an array here. So what I want to take here, so after that you can take another list equal to, you can take an array. This is an array, guys, right? I'm taking the attributes equal to, again it's an array. Attributes means ID, class, something like this there now. This is going to be ID. ID is going to be the subjects. Right. Next, you want to add one more attribute called class attribute. HTML attributes, these are, guys. If you want to add multiple attributes, we can take them as an associative array. A class equal to all SUB, all subjects, something like I take it. So in this list, you can take some values here. HTML, something like CSS, and you can take something JavaScript, whatever it may be, and pass to this UL method. Automatically, what UL method will do? Echo UL. Okay, UL is a predefined method. To this, you have to pass the list comma attr, guys. Automatically, what happened? This is going to create list of items with the following attributes. Can you see? These are created. If you can understand, can you see this UL contain ID and class? Can you see how we can add the attributes also? If you want to add the attributes also, we can add them. There is a second parameter, the attributes. If you are not passing the attributes, then so you can avoid this. So I passed only one list only, then list item is going to be created, guys. Can you go and take this? List item is created, but for this UL, there is no attributes. If you want to add any attribute, you can add the attributes as a second parameter. Like this, each and every function you have to test it. Take HTML helper, take form helper, take URL helper. Like this, you have to check each and every helper. So it will be very clear for you guys, right? Got it, right? So this is what the way of working with the helpers, exactly, right? So one of the very mostly used important helper in this helpers library is, guys, form help, URL helper. So can you see here, lastly, we have one helper, URL helper. What is this URL helper? Right? It is going to provide you some predefined methods. By using those methods, we can directly work with our things, guys. Can you see now? This is how the loading helpers. If you want to load one more helper, how we can do that? This of load of helper amma. What is the method there? Helper method. In this, we have to pass the name of the helper, URL helper. Can you see? For loading 3 helpers, you written 3 times, right? Why should I write like this? Is there any way to load all the helpers in one shot? So definitely, guys, if you want to load all these 3 helpers in one shot, this of load of helper, HELPR helper. So here you can take this as an array. In this array, pass form helper, comma, pass HTML helper and URL helper. This is equivalent. Why should we write 3 times load of helper, load of helper? So we don't require it. So then what we can do? We can simply avoid this and we can simply go like this also, guys. This is how the helpers will be loaded. Multiple helpers will be loaded in single shot by taking an array. Now, can you see this will be work? Now we don't have any problem at all. Now, can you see all the things will be worked? HTML, okay, some error is there. List is not there. Okay, don't worry. Go and check this. Why list is not there? Oh, where is the list? List is here now. HTML helper, form helper. What is the error we are getting? Syntax error, unexpected variable $list. Is there any semicolon is missed, guys, here at the semicolon? Is the reason. Refresh the page now, you can see how it will be perfect. This is HTML helper. This is also UL HTML helper, form helper. If you want to print the URLs, so there is in the URL helper, there are some methods, guys. Let me show you those methods also with some other view, okay, some other controller. Let me create one more controller here. So without having any confusion, so I'm creating one more controller, right? So what is the name of the controller we can take here? SAMPLE sample.php. So where it is saved? It is saved in controllers folder. Yes, controllers folder. What is the name of it? Sample. So what is our class name then? Class sample. And we know that each and every controller needs versions with the CI underscore controller, CONTROLLER controller. No, right. What is the next thing here? Let us create an index function, public function index. So in this index function, I am loading one helper. How can we load a helper? Well, this of load of a helper, HELPR helper. What is the helper name? URL helper. URL helper. This is the mostly used helper in our application, guys. But right now, the next thing, guys, URL helper is loaded. Once loaded, some methods are there inside of it. Now you can execute this sample controller localhost. Let us go and execute this sample sample. In this, we didn't load any view, right? We load one helper, that is URL helper. And if you want, you can load a view also. We didn't create any view, right? So if you want, you can create a view. This of load of a view. Did you create any view for this? No, we didn't create any view, guys. So create a view. I'm passing sample underscore view. So what is the meaning of it? It will look for a sample view. Refresh the page. Now you are going to get an error. Why you are getting error? It is requesting a file. Can you see? Unable to load the requested file sample view.php. This file you should create into the views folder, right? We are loading a view, right? So now you can go and create a new file, save the file sample view.php in views folder. That is very, very important, right? Sample view.php. Here you can write some HTML code. HTML code open, HTML code close. Write some basic stuff here. Head tag open, head tag close. Title tag open, title tag close. This is going to be URL helper, HELPR helper. So this is body tag open, body tag close. Take some heading, H1 tag. So I'm taking H1 tag something like this, right? You are taking something like this, H1 tag, URL helper, you take URL HTML. You don't want to print like HTML. You want to go with something called a heading, right? So can you see here, PHP close PHP. We have here method HEADING heading. So here my title is going to be URL helper, URL HELPR helper, comma 1. What happened? H1 tag should be created, but if you can execute this, you are going to get an error. What is that error you are getting? Refresh the page. Can you see call to undefined function heading? Why it is giving you heading, guys? I told you already. If you want, seriously, guys, try to see. This is the heading method which is available in HTML helper. So if you want to access the HTML helper method, HTML helper should be loaded now. Did you load HTML helper in the controller? No, you didn't load. What is the helper you loaded? Only this. So if you want to load multiple helpers, then what you can do, take this as an array. This is going to be URL and this is going to be HTML helper. Can you see now this thing is going to be work perfectly for you guys? Refresh the page. It is working. URL helper is working. This was printed by using HTML helper, guys. Now I want to print some URL helpers. Can you see? Let's go with a paragraph tag here. Right. So base URL. What is the base URL, guys? If you want to get the base URL, see there is a method called echo base underscore URL. This is the predefined method. Yesterday I shown you how to set the base URL in the config.php, right? Can you see now if we can refresh it, you are getting the base URL. What is the base URL? HTTP localhost news. This you defined, where you defined this, guys? This base URL was defined by you yesterday in the config.php. Yes or not? We shown you, right? Try to see the previous video so that you will get the clear idea, right? This is the base URL. So if you want to access a site URL directly, yes, we can do something like this. There is another concept called site URL also. What is this? Is called site URL, SIT, site URL. Site URL. What is a site URL? Let me check this. It is going to be site URL and refresh the page. Can you see? This is also giving you site URL. Actually, site URL includes index.php, guys. Yesterday in the config.php, we removed index.php and we make it as an empty, right? Index page. Do you remember? Let me open the config.php file one more time. So if you can go to config folder, application, config, inside config.php. And can you see here, we set the base URL yesterday. This is the base URL you will get. And what is the index base you made it? Earlier, you have something called index.php here. Now refresh it. You see, site URL is including index.php. Base URL is not including index.php. Sometimes by default, index.php will be appended in URL. You want to continue with index.php, you can use site URL. Without index.php, if you want to continue, you can use base URL. Whatever you want, you can. But I don't want index.php. If I can see index.php in the URL, then I can say this is going to be not a search engine friendly URL. That's why I'm removing it. Can you see now? Because of the removing index.php there, the site URL you are not getting index.php. The base URL also you are not getting. Anyhow, in base URL you are not going to get anything, but in site URL you will get index.php if you are not removing it. And one more thing. So one more function is there, guys. Here, let me write this current URL. So what is the current URL of the page? This is going to be current current URL. For getting current URL, there is a method called current URL, guys. What is the method there? Current URL method. What is the current URL of the page? This is localhost news sample, right? Refresh the page. Now, can you see the current URL is going to be localhost news sample? For example, here I'm taking sample slash index you are taking. Then what is going to happen? The current URL is coming like this, index also. If you want to any parameter, then I'm passing 2, 3. And can you see, this is called current URL. Whatever the current page URL you want to get into your application, yes, we can use a method called current URL. By using this method, we can read the current page of the current URL of the page which you are accessing, guys. Right. This is nice. And how we can access the current page URL. These base URL and current URL are the mostly used functions in our application development. Seriously. So when we are entering into the application development, slowly you will get the clarity when we are going to use base URL, when we are going to use current URL. They are the mostly used things, guys. So besides this URL helper, we have some other functions. Let me discuss all those functions, guys, here. So let us go with exploring the functions here. Can you see loading helper? This is already we loaded the helper. Available functions. Site URL. Just now we seen what the site URL is going to return. And you can see the next thing is going to be the base URL. We seen just now. And what is the current URL? Maybe, yeah, next function is current URL. Just now we seen. What is a URI string? What is the meaning of URI string? Do you know, guys? URI string, there is a method, guys. There is a method called URI string. Okay, URL underscore string. This is the method there, URI string. Can you please tell me what is a URL? What is a URI? If you can check this URL, and this is the URL you have, right? So I'm copying this URL. In this URL, what is URI string? What is URL? So actually, this is the entire thing is called as URL. In this URL, if you can divide this up to here is called base URL. After that base URL, the remaining portion, whatever the remaining portion you are having, that is called URI string. Okay, understand, guys, carefully. So this is your base URL, right? After base URL, whatever the remaining portion, segment 1, segment 2, segment 3, the remaining segments are all called as URI string. Shall we check this? You can just print it so that you will understand here. Take a paragraph tag. So this is going to be URI string. I want to take it as a URI string. URI string. So simply you can write the method URI string. URI underscore string, URI underscore string. Refresh the page now. If you can refresh, can you see you are getting from where sample index 23. But if you can remove 23 as a parameter, now can you see it is not there, only sample and index. If you can remove this also, only index, if you can remove, then you can see only sample. This is how the things will be work, guys. The segments, guys, after base URL, this is the base URL. After that, the remaining all are called segments of the path URL, right? So this is segment now. Those segments will be come, guys, automatically. This is URI string. Like this, we have to check each and every method. Lot of methods are there. Go and check this index page. What is the index page of you, right? So this is going to be written something. Returns your site index page is specified in our config file. Example index page. Simply, I didn't set anything. I think in the config page. I think so. Can you go and check this? What is the index page you are going to get here? Echo. I'm writing simply index page. This is the index page function I written. Let me check it. What is the output you are going to get it here? So like this, I'm checking each and every method. These are the helper functions which will help you in our application development. So it is better to know each and every function which is available there. What is the index page you are getting? You are not getting anything. Why? Because in the config.php you removed, right? That's why you are not getting anything. If we can set something called index.php here, index index.php, I think you can see index.php there. Can you see how the things are going to be there? So you have to check what happened, where it is updated, and all everything should be checked by you, right? So you can check other methods also. Index page method is there. Anchor tag. Can you see if you want to generate any kind of anchor tag? Yes, we can generate the anchor tag, guys, by using this. Can you see? Here they give an example also here for the anchor. Can you see? This is the anchor tag. By writing this anchor tag, it will create a link. Can you see, guys, what happened? This is the link. Unclick the anchor tag where you have to go. Generally, how we can create the anchor tags, guys? Generally, if you want to create any anchor tag, so we will do something like this. SR href. So this is equal to and close href, and this is what exactly visit Google. I am writing something called visit Google. Okay, here we have to pass the link, right? HTTP. This is HTML. HTTP localhost slash right localhost google.com na https://google.com. This is what exactly the way of generating the links in HTML. But in CodeIgniter, there is a method called anchor method. What this anchor method is going to do, you can you see echo anchor. It will, this is the URL. For example, you want to go to facebook.com https. fb.com. So this is what Facebook. Facebook. Try to see what happened. With this information, it will generate a link, guys. Here I'm writing simply visit Facebook. VASIT, visit FB. This is the title of it, guys. That's it. Can you go and check this now? You can see now there are two links will be there. One is Google. One is, can you see? Visit Google is a HTML link, but visit Facebook is HTML. No, it is not HTML. It is generated by the framework. Can you see? If I click this, it is going to facebook.com automatically. Yes or not, right? So this is how we can check the things, guys, right? So this is how visit Google, visit Facebook. Some links we can generate by using HTML. This is the link how we can generate by using HTML. This is the link how we can generate by using a framework, guys. Check this carefully. Each and every helper is important. Every helper, I'm just showing you 2-3 helpers for getting knowledge. If you know how to use 2-3 helpers, the remaining helpers also same. But how to use them, if you don't know, read the manual first. Without reading manual, don't try to get the things smooth, right? So everybody are recommended to read the manual for getting the things clear, guys. So it will be helpful a lot for you. Okay, right, done. Right, what's the next thing here? We have to check it. Okay, these are a lot of links are there, guys. Mail to and safe mail to. Lot of methods are there. Auto link and read the manual URL title. So what is the title of the URL? Like this, we have so many methods, guys. Putting URL. I mean, is there any things are there? Redirect. Oh, very important method. This we need to click it. This is also mostly used. Page redirection, guys. How can we redirect a page from one location to another location? If it is a core PHP, we have a header function. In header function, we can pass something called location, colon, and somewhere, some.php. Then what will happen? You will go to the particular page. If it is this redirect, simply you can give it and do the path where you have to go. This is what the redirection method. Simply how to provide the path. Location all not required. Where you want to go to facebook.com, then provide fb.com. You want to go to google.com, provide google.com, something like this. Page redirection, very, very important methods, guys. I can say one thing: base URL, current URL, and redirect method. These are the three methods which are mostly used from URL helper in our application development. Seriously, everywhere, maximum of the situations we are going to use them. So try to remember them. Each and every method are going to be very, very important, guys, for us. So we are going to use in our application very rare, very mostly. I mean, right. So this is how we can use the helpers, guys. Can you go with other helpers also? If we can check the other helpers, what are the other helpers are there? Can you see? We seen some helpers. I'm suggesting you also go to some other helpers, guys. So it will be helpful for you. Okay. Smiley helper, string helper, typography, date helper, directory helper, download helper. How can you download a file? Cookie helper. So in core PHP, you already know how to create a cookie, right? How to create a cookie, how to destroy a cookie. You may have the concept, I believe, right? Can you see here set cookie, get cookie? For set cookie means creating a cookie. It is having almost all 8 parameters. They are explaining you each and every parameter very clearly here, right? So this is get cookie. Once cookie is created, we have to read it now. So this is get cookie, and it is going to be delete cookie, guys. How the things, three methods are there. Can you see? So create cookie, get cookie, and delete cookie. So how to create, how to delete, how to access a cookie. This is what exactly the cookies information, guys, here. Everything. Most of the helpers we are going to use in our application development. Can you see here one more helper called security helper? What is a security helper? So can you see security helper will be loaded. XSS clean. XSS means a cross-site scripting forgery, cross-site scripting request. This XSS clean, this function is an alias of CI input XSS clean. For more info, please see the input library. So tomorrow we are going to see the libraries, right? That we will see. Sanitize file name. So whatever the file name we are having, if you want, you can sanitize it, guys. Do hash. You want to hash anything? Yes, we can hash the data. Hashing. You know MD5, CRC32 in core PHP. So for everything, there is a method. Helper means it's a group of methods under a specific category. The name itself, helper, the name itself, it is saying that it will help us in our application development, guys. That's the only thing, right? Yes. So this is how we have a lot of methods. I'm requesting you, all of you, try to see each and every methods, guys, so that So it will be helpful, but don't worry, whatever the helpers I discussed in the last session and today's session, so those helpers just you can count through them. That's enough. Based on the situation, I can use those helpers in our application development, guys. Don't worry about it. Okay, right. So this is all about the helpers. I didn't discuss all the helpers. Don't worry. Slowly we can enter into all the helpers, not all at a time. But I just given you some overview of a helper, how to use a helper, how to load a helper. First thing question. Remember, where are you loading the helper? You are loading the helper inside your controller only, not in your view. So if you see what I told you yesterday, if we can load any helper, any library, any database inside a controller, that is going to be available for each and every, each and every model, each and every view, which is loaded inside of this controller, guys. For example, you loaded this view here. So to this view, this URL helper, HTML helper automatically available, not for some other view. What is the view you loaded here? Sample view. To this sample view only, URL helper, HTML helper are available. For example, you have some other views, guys. If we can go to views folder, there are some other views are there. For these views, this is not available. For example, you have welcome message view. To this welcome message view, can I access these URL helper and HTML helper? No, because in this controller, you loaded URL helper, form helper. Besides this, what is a view you loaded? Sample view. So this URL helper, HTML helper will available to this view only, not welcome message view. If you want to make them to available, where is this welcome message view was loaded? In a welcome controller. Go to the welcome controller, load the URL helper, form helper there also. And one more thing, some situations, guys, here, this URL helper may be required for each and every controller. So if it is required for each and every controller, will you write in every controller like this of helper, this of helper, this of helper like this in every controller? No. See, we can auto load the helpers also, guys. What is this is concept called auto loading helpers. Auto loading helpers. What is the meaning of it? If we can auto load, we don't want to write this statement everywhere, guys. Does not require. If you can load the helpers automatically. So how can we load the helpers automatically? In your config folder, there is a file called autoload.php file, guys. Open this file. Find the helpers array, HELPR, helpers array. In this helpers array, if you can set which helper you want to load automatically, the things will be cool, guys. So let me open your autoloader.php from the application config folder. So I'm just want to open, this is configure, right? Go to your, or see where you are. This is your application. In application config folder, here we have a file called autoload.php. Yeah, open this file. If you can bit move down, so can you see, guys, here packages, you want to load any packages automatically here. You want to load any libraries automatically here. You want to load any helpers here, drivers, and this is the helpers here. Which helper you want to load automatically? I want to load URL helper, guys. You want to load URL helper or the URL helper here. Then if we can auto load the helper here, we don't want to load this helper in every controller. That's not required because we are auto loading. Auto loading means whatever the helpers, whatever the libraries you are loading here, those are loaded automatically once our framework is loaded, guys. We don't want to load them manually into our controller. This is concept called auto loading. Can you see now? You auto loaded now. If you auto loaded, we don't want to load URL helper here. That's not required. And remove this. You want to load HTML helper also, and this is also does not required. So HTML helper required, guys. This is not required. URL helper is not required. Can you go and check this? Still, this is going to be work for you guys. Refresh the page. If you can refresh, still it is working. URLs are printing now. All the URLs are printing. Why? Because URL helper is loaded globally. Now onwards, we don't want to load in anywhere, guys. If you want, you can load HTML helper also. Then what you can do, go to this autoload PHP and here put comma and the second helper will be HTML helper. Yes, we can load the helpers like this, guys. Auto loading helpers this is. And refresh the page now. And what you can do, go to your sample controller and remove this. This is not required now. Why? Because they loaded automatically. Remember, when can I go for automatic loading? The only thing you have to remember, if you think that that helper or that library is going to be available, is going to be required for each and every of your controller, then auto load it. It's a good thing. Sometimes a library or a helper may required only for the specific controller only. then you don't need to go for auto load. Wherever you require, go there and just load the helper, guys. This is not required for each and everything. This is what exactly auto loading helper. As well as, only remember the situation you have to remember, if the helper is required for each and every controller, auto load it, no problem. If a helper is required only for specific controller, no need to go for auto loading. Just go to the particular controller, use this soft load of helper. And for example, guys, here you need file helper. Then what you can do, only for this controller only, this soft load of helper, HLPR helper. What is the helper you require here? File helper. Simply you can write file here. That's enough. Why? Because I am loading only here. Because this helper is required only for this controller only. If this file helper is required for each and every controller, then what I will do? I will go for auto loading. Right? This is how we can work with the helpers, guys. This is how we can upload the helpers. Actually, these are all the helpers which we are discussing are predefined. Sir, is there any way to create our own helpers? Yes, there is also an option to create our own helpers also, guys. That we will see later, guys. How can we extend the custom helpers? How can we create the custom helpers? That we will see later, guys. In tomorrow's session, we are going to discuss about the libraries. This is very important. That is a heart of our framework. Simply says, what is a library? What a library can contain? How can we load a library? How can we load multiple libraries? How can we auto load the libraries into our controller? Everything, guys. That may be a library, that may be a database, that may be a helper, is going to be loaded into your controller only, because controller is the front, it is the heart of MVC architecture. Each and every request, each and everything should be decided by controller only. That's why we are loading everything inside the controller only, right, guys? This is all about the helpers, guys. Still some more helpers are there. We will discuss based on the situation remaining helpers, guys. Next session we are going to discuss about libraries. This is also very, very important. If we can get the clarity about libraries, immediately we are going to move to database connection, guys. Thank you, guys. Any doubts, let me know, please.